I knew when I was in Brussels, I knew Nigel's right-hand man because he edited a magazine called The Sprout, which is like Private Eye. I don't know
Are
if
you
you heard of
talking
him.
about are you talking about Gawain?
Yeah,
Yeah, good
I
guy.
mean, he was like we were all pirates because I mean, nobody would have thought in a million years that these guys, who lugging around copies of a magazine in a van, sort of thing, and hated by everyone in the European Parliament. 20 years later, they'd be on the cusp of success and one of the world's biggest economies. Incredible. Um, anyway, what I was going to say was um, what? Well, I mean, you've met Nigel.
Oh no, I
What
know Nigel. I've interviewed Nigel. I know
and
Nigel
what?
pretty well. Yeah.
Give us a pen portrait. I mean, this is my usual thing. We got a lot of non-Brits and non-Americans here who they have a pretty, I guess they have a pretty negative view of Nigel, at least the bien-pensant in Europe. In Sweden, for instance, you can just imagine, Nigel is only slightly less of a Satan than Donald Trump, sort of thing. Um,
Well, I'm sorry, just checking for any
yeah,
important things that just came in. Yeah. Um, well, I think they're all very mistaken on both counts. We don't have a tremendous insight of the Swedish political scene, and they know about as much as we do here.
yeah,
So I would just discount their negative views. I don't pay much attention to that if they don't really, pardon me, know what's going on. All they do is spout what they read in rather biased media publications.
exactly. Yeah.
Nigel as a person is utterly charming, not a phony. He's quite a bit like Trump, which is why I suppose they get on. Trump is not a politician.
Mm,
With Trump, whom I also know, what you see is what you get. He's straight up, right in your face, tells you just like it is, and utterly charming as well when he wants to be. Both of them very persuasive, very intelligent, very strategic, incredibly impressive, and tremendously resilient people. They are world leaders, that's for sure. They're
mm,
world leaders. They're of that stature. Uh, Nigel, I've been with Nigel. We did an evening in Doncaster in a working man's club to discuss the budget, and there were the main part of the evening was in the bar in the pub afterwards. A few hundred people, and I mean, Nigel just works these rooms. I've never seen anything like it. It's like Trump. He's just there all night till the last person goes home. He's got time to talk to everybody. Everybody feels they've been spoken to individually. You don't get this sleeves rolled up photo op phony nonsense you get from Fishy Rishi, or this just you're talking to an empty vessel when you speak with Starmer. Just you don't get any of this professional politician stuff.
mm,
But Nigel doesn't do detail, so he needs the right crew around him. But
mm.
he certainly is a leader in the, I could almost say, Churchillian mode, in the sense that he inspires and gives people enthusiasm and confidence. So,
Mm.
yeah, and I mean, and the
Well,
people in Sweden and the rest of Europe who, what their real agenda is, what they're really saying is they don't like Brexit and they hate him for it. Yeah, okay, well, I mean, 5 minutes after Brexit happened, I was approached by television stations in 3 different countries to talk to them about them exiting next, So it didn't
yeah,
happen
right.
yet, but yeah.
No, I mean, uh, I sit and rage at the Swedish political class. They're as incompetent and terrible as the rest of them, really. But the only thing I fear is that the populists won't win as much as everyone expects them to, the far right. Um, but at the European elections, because we've got an ossified political culture, I think all over Europe, people who over promoted and never really had to struggle. So I'm all on your side on this one. Uh, but I just want to say, do you think when did Farage see himself as a liaison with Trump? Because one of the things he said, I don't know if it's true. I mean, I don't know if he was being totally honest, but that he wanted to take a step back and sit out this election because he wanted to get close to the Americans somehow and the Trump administration. Relationships between the US and the UK are terrible at the moment. I mean, not only does Cameron was humiliated both by the Democrats and by the Trumpists when he went to Washington last couple of weeks ago and asking for more help for Ukraine. And then people in America, I talked to, this is this British guy who has his finger on the pulse, a young guy. He says, the Democrats really dislike the Tories as well, and they don't listen to them. So you never hear any talk about the special relationship in the UK media. I mean, discussion of American politics is almost absent. And sometimes the Telegraph is a bit dismissive of the Americans, using the old British arrogance towards them, which to me shows that all is not well in this relationship. And Nigel was going to build it up. He saw that it's essential. I guess, do you have any ideas what he was going to do there with the Americans, and if he's going to carry it over into his new role now as a party leader and maybe a Tory leader?
This sounds like most of the Swedes that I talk to. They're generally pretty negative, kind of depressed people sometimes. I mean, they have a pretty glum view of things. You need to change the folks you're talking to. So, for example, a friend of mine who was present at the Trump-Cameron meetings said they went extremely well and they got on very well. Another politician who I won't name said that when Obama came over here and went to number 10 recently to meet with Cameron and Sunak, when he left, he said he had made them his little BI blank blank ES. Okay. I mean, you couldn't be much closer than that.
Right.
It's just not true. The things that you've heard, you're getting the wrong.
No, but that wasn't from the Swedish. I never read the Swedish press for anything. I mean, I don't trust them at all.
Whatever.
It was actually from the Telegraph.
All I'm trying to say is that Cameron did very well over there. The Ukraine thing, no, because there's a huge number of people that feel had it happened a year ago, it would have been fine. But it's too late for Ukraine to win the war now. That's a separate issue. But the special relationship is still very, very much there. And to answer your original question, Nigel was, and I think still, could be interested in some way, having a closer relationship with Trump and America. There was talk of making him an American citizen and making him American ambassador to Britain. They would never make him British ambassador to America, they said, but it could work the other way around. But I think what's happened here is that he was probably very tempted by such things, or being a trade envoy, but country and duty and patriotism called, and people stopping him in the streets and all the rest, and everybody, including yours truly, sort of bothering him with messages that, I think he just sees how much he needed. The country he belongs to and loves is absolutely going to fall apart in the wrong hands if he doesn't do something.